Hi friends, welcome to the Potter's Wheel. Today we're in Luke chapter 4, verse 38 and 39, the story of how Jesus healed Peter's mother-in-law. I'll read it right now. Jesus left the synagogue and went to the home of Simon. Now Simon's mother-in-law was suffering from a high fever, and they asked Jesus to help her. So he bent over and rebuked the fever, and it left her. She got up at once and began to wait on them. Mark actually says that Jesus helped her get up, and Matthew says that Jesus touched her and she was healed. But there's some key points to this passage I want to highlight first, and then let's extract some healing principles out of it. The first issue was that he just left the synagogue. He'd just been in the synagogue where, if you watch the earlier video that I did, he delivered a man from a demonic spirit in the synagogue. So now he's out of the synagogue after this power encounter, and he's in the home of his faithful disciple, Simon Peter, and it says that they asked him if they would help her. And so it's interesting to note that sometimes we don't have the faith for healing, but people need to help us. It's a community activity. I really want to encourage you not to try to lay a burden on people to think that they have to have the faith to be healed. Sometimes if faith is present in the room, healing will occur. Well, anyway, so he left the synagogue. Secondly, Luke writes that she had a great fever or a high fever. So she was in really bad shape. This was a significant fever. This was not just something mild. And finally, it's curious to note that he rebuked the fever. He did not pray for healing. He did not command her to be healed. He rebuked something. And that word for rebuke is only used in addressing demonic spirits. It was used in the book of Mark chapter 4, where Jesus is rebuking the storm as the disciples are crossing the Sea of Galilee. Once again, the inference there is that there was a spiritual force behind that weather problem that was, in my opinion, trying to kill Jesus and his disciples. And so we have this verb that's only used for addressing demonic spirits. So the inference there is that she had some type of spiritual problem, and even though it's not mentioned in this passage as explicitly being a spirit, he used the language of addressing a spirit. Now, there are 23 passages in the book of Luke that deal with demonic spirits. This one isn't one of the 23, but there's an indirect, as I said, reference to demonic activity causing this illness. And we do know that demonic spirits cause blindness. They cause people to lose their inability to speak. We also know that they cause people to have severe mental disorders, as the case of the Gadarene demoniacs in Mark chapter 5. And so those are some highlights of this particular text. Now I want to talk about some healing principles. Well, number one is that we need to always seek the source of the sickness. And so 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 23 says that every human being is made up of body, soul, and spirit. And one of those areas of our lives will be affected if we are sick, or sometimes a combination of two, or even sometimes a combination of three. So we want to always go to the root source of what is causing the sickness. Secondly, we note that Jesus helped lift her up and is fulfilling a principle there of advising people, encouraging people to do something that they couldn't do before as an act of faith, as an act of belief. We see that in John chapter 5, where Jesus told the man at the pool of Bethesda, take up your bed and walk. So just the act of taking up his bed, the healing came because he took up his bed. In this case, there was a psychological barrier, probably because he just couldn't imagine being healed, that when he took her and helped her to get up, and then she started following him, healing came. So even though Matthew says she was just touched, I think it was Jesus rebuking a spirit, touching her, all in almost one motion, one effort. And so it looked like kind of one thing from each gospel writer's perspective. But it's clear that there was a spiritual thing going on here by the fact that Jesus rebuked the fever. And so I want to close with this one thought, and I mentioned it before. Anytime that you're ministering deliverance, you always want to do it with a team, and I suggest doing it in private. I had a situation happen recently where I started praying for a person in a public service who had physical problems, But as I started to pray, their face started to contort. And then I knew that I was dealing with a demonic spirit at that point, just by the manifestations that I was seeing in this person's face. But I really felt like the Lord checked me in the moment. I felt like it wasn't supposed to happen publicly. I have prayed publicly, but I rarely do that. And so, for deliverance. And so I turned to the pastor and I said, you and some leaders need to fast and pray and deal with this situation in private, and have this person, I would even have the person that has the problem, fast and pray, and then come back at a later date. And it's kind of like picking your battles when the conditions are more favorable to the work of the Spirit. So God bless you. I hope you gleaned a few nuggets out of this particular passage. I know that I did. And I look forward to seeing you the next time here at the Potter's Wheel.